If there wasn't no fourth element, this would be an interesting plan. The fourth element is we raised $200 million in seed capital from private sector to go put that infrastructure in the ground in 2 countries already, Israel and Denmark. These are investors like Morgan Stanley. It's Israel Corporation. It's the largest holding company in Israel. It's Vantage Point, investors in a number of businesses around this. It's a bunch of individual investors who are here. So when you're looking at this, for the first time, we got cars, policy, network, and money all coming in one place. 2 months later, Denmark said, we'll do the same thing. By the way, we want to get off oil more than Israel. So we'll do 180% tax to 0. Okay, the cheapest sedan you can buy on gasoline is $60,000. The cheapest on electric is 0. And it sort of, if you fail the test, they send you over to another country. And when you look at that model, you actually start to see a model that can deploy everywhere in the world. To put the numbers in some sort of a framework, at $500 per car in the country, $500 per car in the country, you can get off oil. That's, in the US, that's $100 billion, that's 2 months of oil. 2 months of oil we can get off oil. Not a single bit of new science required. No research, nothing.
Let me stop you there, Shai. That's stunning fact. We come to, sorry.
Did I go over time?
Yeah. Apologies. No, that's fine. You mentioned the 2-0 of your business model. If we don't move on, we're going to have 0 time as well. So we will. But we
buy his book.
Thank you. He's good, isn't he? This is why this man is successful. Let me turn to our second speaker, Mark Duval, who's the expert on electric vehicles at EPRI, the Electric Power Research Institute. Mark, tell us about the utility perspective. I know that important study that your organization has done in cooperation with NRDC. We'll hear from
quoted today.
And widely quoted today, much invoked. I remember when it was just a glint in your eye many years ago when we talked about this out in Palo Alto. Now it has been done. It's been cited a couple of times. Maybe you could take the opportunity to give us a little bit of the backdrop and the main takeaway. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the question it was, one of the questions it was meant to answer is the common jibe I heard many times from conventional Detroit and other car makers that, oh, electric cars, come on, that's just a pollute somewhere else vehicle, right? You know, it's, you're hiding the problem because you plug into a coal grid. It's obviously worse than gasoline. And that was a common jibe. It's your study debunked that. And so give us a quick overview as to how and why.
Yeah, thank you. EPRI is, the Electric Power Research Institute is a nonprofit scientific R&D organization dedicated to research focused on electricity and the electric utility industry. Fortunately, our August speakers took most of my opening comments, so I will sell Shai some time after this is all over. But what our study showed, and our study partner was the Natural Resources Defense Council, Google.org was a participant. What it did is it took the 2 main components of this, the electric sector and the transportation sector, showed how they would evolve dynamically in time with new technology and with the constraints of a future of an electricity and a gasoline future, and looked at the intersection, looked at how electricity is served to those vehicles, how they're charged, what kind of plants are charged, how the electric sector builds new plants, retires old ones, and ultimately what we see is that the intersection of that sector, the existing constraints on it for emissions, for possibly in the future greenhouse gas emissions, show that in general you have very wide-ranging air quality benefits. There is no such thing as a coal-powered hybrid. There is also no such thing as a wind-powered hybrid. The electric sector is a system. It acts as it is driven by its constraints and by its opportunities, very much driven by economics. And ultimately, plug-in hybrids, 40 to 50% reduction in CO2 emissions into the future. It was mentioned earlier, 3 to 4 million barrels per day and potentially 500 million tons of greenhouse gas reductions. That's with electrification about 30% of total VMT, up through vehicles of about 20,000 pounds in total weight, gross weight. So the potential is definitely there. There is potentially $1 billion annual reductions if you look at all applications of electric transportation or look at more aggressive implementation of vehicles like the Chevrolet Volt or pure electric vehicles, which definitely do a little bit more than we considered in our study. So the benefits are clear. What one of the things that is a key component, there's two key components of this, one on each side of the aisle. Automakers have to build the vehicles, and it will be tough in the beginning. Cars are not iPhones, no matter how much we want them to be, and we will have to deal with the auto industry, which is very large, has a lot of inertia, and we can help them, and there's a number of ways we can help them. But an automobile is a collection of a vast number of very sophisticated technologies, and this will help the process of developing very good plug-in vehicles. On the utility side, the smart grid is key. We have to accomplish this transition from gasoline to electricity, or from petroleum to electricity, with a minimum of cost. Economics will say if you want everyone in America to own one of these things, then the cost has to be as little as possible relative to the value. We have $10,000 to $15,000 in net present value of savings in a plug-in hybrid with about 20 miles of electric range over the life of the vehicle. And that's at $4 to $4.50 a gallon. So there's a lot here to play with. There's a lot of value in the energy sector and the value they bring to the grid. Capturing those at the lowest possible cost is definitely how you make this work for both the automotive industry, the utility industry, and most importantly, the vehicle owners and operators.
So what I'm hearing is that your analysis shows it is worth doing, though
Absolutely.
there will be, of course, technological challenges along the way, enabling technologies, infrastructure particularly of the sort the Shah is working on in Israel and Denmark need to be put in place. But that particularly as the grid itself decarbonizes over time, we'll see ever-increasing benefits from electrification of the fleet.
That's absolutely the case.
Great. To push a little bit further on the environmental question, let me turn to our next speaker. But with a quick comment first to our people logging in online. This is also being webcast, by the way, folks. And if I can ask them, for those of you who are interested in our online audience to send questions for this panel, you can email questions to electricvehicle2008. That's all one word, no punctuation. Electricvehicle2008 at atlanticvideo.com.